You're listening to the In the Mix podcast with Marvin Joles. Here's your host.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. We got a repeat guest today, one of my good friends, Robert Miller. And you might remember Robert from, like I said, the previous episode, but he's back in the mix with us right now. I don't know if this will ever change, but I had to make sure I knew his title beforehand. And right now he's sales director, championship management with the PGA Tour.
Yep.
I know firsthand you've been taking care of the FedEx St Jude Championship, which is
absolutely
fun to see. So, man, tell us what's been going on? What's changed since the last time we spoke? Because you were kind of in transition a little bit last time we spoke.
Yeah, so the first time we spoke, I just moved to Dubuque, Iowa, took over the hockey team as the president of business operation with the Dubuque Fighting Saints, and as you know, you and I, you being one of my partners there, we had a fantastic run over that 3 years. And in the sports world, just like any other business, you never know when that phone's going to ring and that opportunity is going to present itself. And, an opportunity presented itself for me to join forces with the PGA Tour, especially the championship management side of the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour is, there's a lot of different, areas under the umbrella of the PGA Tour.
Sure.
And so our area is pretty much championship management. And so there's a set of tournaments that we run that are, upper echelon tournaments. Okay. And one of the big things that we run is a lot of our tournaments in our playoff system. And so I had the opportunity presented to me to be able to go become the sales director for the FedEx St Jude Championship, which
where's that at?
It's Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
And so it's the home of FedEx. So that's where their headquarters are. It's also the home of St Jude Hospital. So, and when originally started looking at it, everybody kind of questioned, you're going from a president to a sales director, but, to be able to go from the USHL to the PGA Tour is a huge step up.
I was going to say it's a big step, man.
But also, it also was a huge step up in the fact that this tournament that I run is the first round of our FedEx Cup. So in the PGA Tour, you go a long season and it leads up to pretty much a three tournament playoff. And so you have the FedEx St Jude, we go to the BMW, and then we have our Tour Champ, which is in Atlanta. And so my buddy Scott Gordon runs Tour Champ in Atlanta. Me and Joe Tomic run the FedEx St Jude Championship here. And so we are the first round of the FedEx Cup. So we have the top 70 golfers come to Memphis. They play all 4 rounds. There's no cut. And the cut happens at Sunday. So on Sunday, it goes from a field of 70 to 50. So only 50 get to go to the next round. So it creates just a magical event here for the city of Memphis.
I was going to say, there's a lot of hopes and dreams going into that tournament. And then
absolutely. It's so much fun because, you have this long season. Actually, our first event just happened out of the Century in Maui. Hideki actually won it. He's a guy who won our tournament last year. Just a great international player. That's a stud. And so he actually put on a heck of a show, won out in Maui. And so I think he's even playing in the Sony this weekend. But one of the big things about it is we go from January all the way to the end of August. There is a fall season, but, this is kind of the bulk of it. But you have such a long trajectory of the PGA Tour with so many weeks, ins and outs and things like that. And once it comes to that time where that FedEx Cup point standing really starts to come to fruition, it just adds so much more drama into the whole world of golf. You have all these guys that are shooting to win the tournament, but you could also have these guys that are, mid-pack that are actually playing for FedEx Cup points to be able to make it to the next round. And it's I don't like using this word, but it's cutthroat, man. I've seen guys that finish, a point out, and it's so big to make that cut because, if you make that cut, you get your tour card for next year. It's a very, very, very hard thing to do to keep your PGA Tour card. Everybody looks at your Rorys and your big names out there.
Yeah.
But these guys that are sitting around that 70 to 100 mark, it's a fight every day to stay competitive. And it's an absolute amazing sport to be a part of.
I recently started using the Mosier 2 Pro, and I got to say, this thing is a game changer in the estimating and quoting process. It's a smart measuring tool that captures dimensions, calculates areas, volumes, perimeters, and even elevation right from your device. The elevation thing is great for the paving quotes. So you have no more hand notes or second guessing whether your estimate's exactly right or not. Mosier takes all that out. I'll be using it on my estimates to create nice terrain maps, streamline my workflow, and make my quoting process more accurate than ever. So if you want to save time and add something to your quotes that separates you from your competitors and levels up your measurements, grab a Moser 2 Pro at Moser.com and use promo code X8Marvin or hit the link in the description. And if you've watched PGA, you know that it's almost like any other sport where there's a group and a pack that are the top echelon, but still on any given day, somebody might catch lightning in a bottle and win a tournament, and all of a sudden their whole life has changed. So I can understand why they're hanging out there and really wanting to keep that card and keep things going. But what about you? I mean, what's changed? You last time we talked about PGA stuff, you definitely didn't have that much articulation and facts and knowing and understanding of what's all going on, especially at the St. Jude FedEx Championship. So what's changed last time in the life of Robert Miller? Because I'm going to just let you know, it's like 9 degrees up here right now.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Tennessee's having a snowstorm.
I do know that. So
right
I've been getting some pictures from the family down in Nashville and all the buddies, and they're like, "Hey, we got what you got." And I'm like, "Well, ain't none of that here. It's just cold."
Wait. Well, I know we're about to get off topic a little bit, but it's not. It's not the same type of cold. I mean, I miss Midwest cold because it is such a crisp, nice, refreshing cold. Here it's like damp humidity cold. I mean, it like sticks to you. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, family's doing well. Tennessee's treating me right. Job's doing great. And it's one thing about working in professional sports. I mean, you know me. I mean, like we talked about last time, I've had stints in the NBA, NHL, WNBA, NASCAR, college sports. I've been all over the map. And so one of the big things about people like us that are in this type of industry, we go where the opportunity presents itself.
Correct.
It gets more challenging, as you know, once your kids get older and once you have, your family and you've got to move your wife and you kind of get settled. And it was not the easiest move in the world to move from Dubuque, because you go from being the president of the only sports team in a small town, and everybody knows who you are. You're on the radio all the time. You're on television all the time. You're having so much fun.
Yeah, you were suited up. I only seen you one time without a suit on.
Yeah, and it's you're just ultra successful and ultra happy with where you're at, and you take a risk. And I think that's one thing about life that I'm trying to teach my kids, is that you can get settled and you can get comfortable, but unless you're kind of pushing that next step, you're never gonna grow and get better. And so that's one thing I always talk to my wife about, which my wife is much smarter and much better at life than I am, which I'm so about, which gives me the freedom to be able to do this. But, she is the champion of this. I walked in, I'll never forget when I walked in, and looked at her and said, "Hey, we have an opportunity, and it's going to take us to Memphis, Tennessee." And, and when you hear Memphis, Tennessee, and you look at Memphis, Tennessee in the news, everybody just has such a negative, outlook on this city and what it is. But I realized that Memphis, Tennessee has a ton of culture. It's an outstanding place to live. I mean, there is some rough pockets to it, but at the same token, it's outstanding. And so
there is everywhere. There's rough pockets everywhere.
Absolutely. And so my wife was the first person that said, "Hey, do you believe this is for us?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Let's press the gas pedal. Let's go."
Cool.
And I'll be honest with you, there's a couple things that, I really did look into. One, you look at PGA tournaments and you look at the PGA Tour and you look at the people that work in the PGA Tour. One, the longevity of the people that work in this industry.
Okay.
I mean, people get in this industry and they stay, but they don't stay at the same place. There is a lot of evolution. There's a lot of growth model. They love working from within. So it was very, very refreshing to kind of see a company like this that didn't want to pigeonhole you to somewhere. They want to make sure you grow within the company and kind of get large. A lot of opportunity with the growth model coming up in the next couple of years with the PGA Tour. But also, one of the things that really spoke near and dear to my heart with the FedEx St Jude Championship is every single tournament has a philanthropic arm, but we are the only one that has such a strong philanthropic arm that we put it in our title. So if you look at any other title out there, I mean, you're talking about, the Players Championship, Tour Champ, all this kind of stuff. I mean, here, we're the FedEx St Jude. So we put our philanthropic arm inside of our title.
Correct.
And with that said, this tournament, not a lot of people realize it, but we raised so much money for St. Jude Hospital. I mean, last year alone, we raised over $6 million just from our tournament for the hospital. And so, a lot of people think, when you say St. Jude Hospital, they're imagining this huge complex and huge hospital with a lot of beds. I mean, there's not that many beds. I mean, there's only about I think 75 beds ish in the hospital itself. The
Okay.
majority of it's cancer research, and these guys are not sitting on their hands, waiting. I mean, the the tenacity they go at to try to prevent and try to create cures and stuff like that is just inspirational. And so another thing we do with our tournament, besides raising money for St. Jude, is we have St. Jude kids out there. So even if a player goes out and has a rough round, when
Yeah.
they come off that green at 18, they're presented with kids that are going through just things
Yeah.
you can never even think about. You
That
can't
are
even
excited too. These kids
absolutely,
are
and it
excited to
just
be there.
it adds a whole nother dynamic to it. And so we also do an event during our tournament called the Purple Eagle. So, FedEx, Cessna, all these people get together and they have this Purple Eagle plane that they actually bring out to the tournament. I mean, it's crazy, Marvin, like how they come and they build this thing. And so we actually have a kid that, from St. Jude that, is kind of like our Purple Eagle, and so he's honored. And last year was Michael. It was really just an inspirational story to meet his family and how it's presented and how he's like, honored and all that kind of stuff. But I started talking to somebody from St. Jude about like all the kids that's been doing. I do believe it's 12 to 13 kids have been doing this. That's how long we've been doing it with
Okay.
Purple Eagle. None of the kids that we have had as part of that program, we've lost. Every single kid is
Wow.
still with us today. Yep.
That's
And so
wild.
it just adds a whole nother dynamic to what you do, as far as like what we do for our job. I mean, like, you do things that, there's people out there that have like jobs and they go to work, and then there's people that love what they do. And, that's the really cool thing about you and I and what we do is like, we love what we do. We get inspired by different parts and different areas.
So I was recently on my way back down to Tennessee, and I was going through Indiana doing some heavy highway construction there, and I seen them paving at night, and they had these lights on the back of the paver that illuminated the whole area. You could see the skid steers, you could see the dump trucks, you could see everything. And these big balloon lights on the back came from Portable Lighting Solutions. So PLS is the only balloon light manufacturer offering a replaceable screw-in LED bulb that is field serviceable in minutes. They have a patented slide-in assembly, and they have a push to rapidly deploy mechanism. So you just push down on the light and the light pops up and is illuminated. You push back down, it shuts off. And they're manufactured here in the USA. There's no patch kits needed. There's not a blower motor. There's no set screws, and they're UL certified. So if you're interested in putting one of these on your paver, I think I'm going to put one on the paver that we just got, and probably on our seal coat unit too, so that we can seal coat at night. You can hop over to portablelightingsolutions.net and put an order in and find yours today. They are ARA members, APWA members, and Women of Asphalt members as well. Once again, that's portablelightingsolutions.net.
Another really cool part about the FedEx St. Jude Championship is the economic impact to Memphis. Kind of like I mentioned,
for sure.
Kind of like I mentioned, earlier. I mean, Memphis. If you live inside Memphis, Memphis has its issues, but the joys of Memphis. The love of Memphis. If you are outside of Memphis, you only have one thought about Memphis. Like it's it has its.
We got to go through there. Yeah, we got to go through there. That's about that.
And so when you have a tournament like ours that comes to town every August, we have an economic impact of over $90 million for the city.
Wow, man.
The largest event in the Mid-South. Like we bring thousands of people from all over the country into Memphis. I mean, you got to think our crowd is probably, I would say 55-45 now. The year before I got here, it was more closer to 60-40.
Yep.
But the 60%, 40, or the 60%, 55%, that's from outside the market. So we're bringing in people from all over the world, all over the country to come to Memphis to stay in hotels, eat at their restaurants, enjoy the city, kind of and the return customers that we're getting are outstanding because people come to Memphis for the first time, they look around, they have a great time, they understand the culture, they understand the food, and then they absolutely adore this place once they get into it. And so that's another huge thing that we do for the city of Memphis. We are a huge bright spot for this place. And so there's so many different things that we do through our job.
Yeah.
That has so much more to do than just golf.
Well, when you was talking about that, right? Like you bring these people in, you bring more people in, they spend more money in town. You get the business owners that want to make improvements because here's an added influx of income and people. And now you kind of see you see more, now that I've been spending a lot of time in Nashville, you see more advertising of, hey, let's pop down to Memphis. Let's pop down to Memphis. And I noticed that some of the people that own the bars on Broadway or own the taverns and whatnot, the nightlife on Broadway down in Nashville, are starting to purchase places down there in Memphis. and add that type of stuff to it. So it's unique to see that's kind of what's going on there. And I think just by hearing you talk about the FedEx St Jude Championship, I'm able to understand that you learned quite a bit about that, about the city of Memphis, about the influx, about the impact on it. What about on the higher end? Obviously, PGA brand is massive, right?
Yeah.
And that's got a lot of moving parts. What you're thinking when you're talking to us about the one championship, and here we have all these multiple parts and all these other higher levels and whatnot. What have you learned, right? Because this is you like you said earlier, you've been in every sport and a lot of brands and whatnot. And it's funny you say that, right? Because we both have experience in hockey. We're doing
Yeah.
NHL stuff here on my end and MLS stuff, and then we both been in NASCAR, right, off and on
Yeah.
with stuff. So PGA is a new one, and it's an outside one, right? But I kind of want to do a two-part question. How hard was it for you to adapt and get into the system compared to everything else that you've done? And then what have you learned with working within the PGA, like in that organization?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I, coming to this and working in multiple sports worlds, the one thing you realize is that when somebody hires you to do a job, they're not hiring you to come in and be part of the status quo that's currently happening. They're hiring you to come in and bring, your outlook and what you do, especially at a level like we're at right now. I mean, like,
Yeah.
if you're, inside sales first starting off base level, yeah, you're going in there and you're learning. When I came in, I did a lot of learning from what has happened in the past and how can I implement what I do to propel us in the future.
Hmm.
And so the big thing I've learned is the fact that every sports league, at the end of the day, and especially in sales, it's all the same. It's relationship building. And it's really and truly relationship building, and then over delivering. Do not overpromise and under deliver. You
Yes.
deliver, and you deliver strong, and you do it the first time, because the first time in the sports world, you got to think. I'm dead in the middle of Tennessee. We've got the Grizzlies, which are doing phenomenal in NBA basketball right now. You got the University of Memphis, which is doing phenomenal in basketball. They had a great year in football. Got a really strong presence in this market. You have Nashville, that's just right over to our east. You've
Mhm.
got MLS over there. You've got NHL. I mean, so you've got a market that's pretty saturated with opportunities. Not to mention Memphis is a fun market. They have things to
Yeah.
do like that. The big thing is that, when we go off and we try to pitch this stuff to people, you have to make sure what you're telling these people is going to come to fruition and how it's going to look. And so
Mhm.
build those relationships and really and truly, grow those things and evolve it. And it's the same way we've done everywhere, just like we did in Dubuque. We
Yeah.
got, and you have such a small market. You only have 65,000 people in Dubuque. If you mess one,
You only
one
get one
relationship
shot at
up,
that first impression.
everybody's going to know it. Well, you
Yeah.
get to Memphis, and Memphis is the 52nd largest market, in the country. But at the
Country.
same token, it's the same type of market. If I go off and tell this one person something and it doesn't come to fruition, or if I go over and tell this one person something and it spreads around, you've got to be very, very clear on your mission. You've got to be very, very clear on what you can deliver. And then once you make that commitment to somebody, you deliver it. And I tell you, that's one thing that I love about the FedEx St Jude Championship. If you come out and you see this and you see what we do with our hospitality areas, you see what the attention to detail is. And we also do a very good job of making it Memphis. There's a lot of times, people think people almost think we're a traveling roadshow. They're like, okay, they come in town for a week, they set up, and then they move on. Well, that's not true. Me, Joe Tomic, my staff, all the operations staff, we're in Memphis. We live here. Our kids
Yeah.
are going to school. Our families are working here. We're paying taxes and all that kind of stuff. So we are Memphis. And so, when we put our best foot forward, when we do our hospitality areas, when we do our sponsorships, when we do anything like that, when you walk out to that tournament, we want everybody to realize that this is Memphis. This is Memphis's tournament. And so
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've really learned is that wherever you go, it's the same formula. You go in, you bring your skill set to the table, you bring everything to the table. But at the end of the day, it's all about making sure you build the right relationships. Every single person's an opportunity. It's not a joke. Like, it doesn't matter who you're talking to. You need to look at that in the eyes of, is this person somebody that I can deal with, or is this somebody that can benefit for what I do? And so
Yeah.
it's one thing that's kind of opened my eyes is that you have all these different cities that you go into and all these different sports you go to, but the strategy never changes. You always stick to your guns of what got you there.
There's core things that you got to do.
Absolutely. And it gets even more prevalent the further you go and the higher you get up in certain companies, because once you kind of go away from, what's made you who you are as an executive, that totally can put you down. You want to make sure that you carry what you build with you, because that's what that company's hiring. The PGA Tour didn't come out and get me and hire me and take a chance on me because they wanted me to come in and be somebody totally different. They wanted me to come in and be the guy that I was when they met and they interviewed. And that's what I give them every day. And that's one thing that I've really learned that's really, really just unique about the worlds that we live in right now, is the fact that, and as well as I do, from all the, working with all the, the events that you go to and all the
suppliers
and shows you go to and stuff like that. I mean, everybody that you're shaking hands with, you never know what that opportunity is. But also, whatever you say to that person, that stuff carries on, and then the next thing you know, that person's telling you something. It's all relationship building, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. And I think what's unique, right, is the higher you go up, like we were talking about, as great as the USHL is, and you step obviously into the PGA, which is an upgrade, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's another level. The people that you're shaking hands with then have more opportunity, right? Like they have more opportunity. They're connected to people that are at that level and have been. You get one shot at that first impression. And sometimes, I used to worry that I was getting like imposter syndrome. I was like, well, what does so-and-so want me to be if they would meet me? And then after a while, right, like it was just like, well, I could tell that if I was anything but authentic, it was almost like a turnoff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was like, well, man, I should never talk about what I don't know, and I should never draw on experience that I hope for, but the experiences that I have had. And that's kind of what happened with you and I when we first met, started talking. I was like, this is what I do. And you're like, well, this is what opportunity we have. And it was just like, all right, well, then let's make it happen. And I feel like when you over deliver on that first impression, you buy yourself. We're only human, right?
Yeah.
So there's a spots where we delegate stuff and somebody dropped the ball somewhere or whatever. But if you can over deliver and you mean to over deliver and you're actually, empathetic when you're describing what you're going to do, if you can over deliver, you buy yourself a little bit of grace, right?
Yeah.
If it was like, hey man, like we had something when we first started, we were pushing an envelope, got close to the season. Our deal happened late in what you guys were going to be doing. And you're like, yeah, we're going to put this banner up. The banner's on back order for like the first 2 games, right? And it's like, well, all right, that's fine, because we knocked it out of the park on all the other promotions right out of the gates. Like,
absolutely,
banners, whatever. So I think it's important, right? You be transparent and be forward with all that. And I just can't imagine like some of the hands you shake and some of the people that are coming to not only play at y'all's tournament, but watch these people play at the tournament. It's no secret. Nashville and Tennessee in general got a lot of big names that love to attend sporting events and hang out and do those types of things. The amount of people that we've seen at the Predators games and whatnot that are just like standing there, I'm just like, this is mind blowing to me. But between Wiscoat, podcasting, writing, speaking, and family, I'm busy. As you can imagine, it's a lot to juggle. How do I do it? I stay organized. Jobber's been my secret weapon at my asphalt business, which takes up most of my time, but is also the force that allows me to do everything else in my schedule. That's why it's essential that Wiscoat runs fluidly and smooth. After making the switch to Jobber a few years ago, I simply wish I would have done it sooner. The process from when a client reaches out to when we complete a project for that customer has never been easier for us. From quoting, invoicing, scheduling, tracking hours, and even marketing, Jobber's made it all happen in one place in a way that everybody on our team can understand. If you're interested in a free 14-day trial of Jobber, an exclusive discount code for In the Mix listeners, check out the show description to find the link to try Jobber today.
You look at Memphis, man. Look at just Google the headquarters that are in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is absolutely insane. First Horizon Bank. I mean, you've got AutoZone. You got FedEx. I mean, like this is a logistics hub. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
They're fans. Right? I mean, the PGA fans, some of these guys, like these big name, not just corporate guys, but like entertainers and musicians and whatnot, they love golf. They play, right? And on the golf courses around where we live there too. So it's really unique to just kind of be able to bring that, be able to see that and know what kind of opportunities go there. And I've always just found that I think this is why you and I connect really well. if they get the authentic version of you, and then the second time they get the authentic version of you, then they let their shoulders down. They're like, this is the dude. Like, this is the guy.
Yeah.
Right. And it's always better to step with that foot forward. What goes into it that we don't really know about? Right. Like, here's all this build up. Y'all working on this. It reminds me of the conferences that we go to. Right. Like
Yeah.
World of Asphalt. There's a team that is working on this thing that literally goes for 4 days, 3 days a year. And it's like, here's this huge team that's going into it. And I feel like we never really think about that as the general public, like what's all going into it. Give us a little bit of light. I know there's a lot. You don't got to unpack all of it, but just some stuff where we're like, dude, you'd never know this. Because when you and I first spoke, you were like, hey, maybe we can get somebody to sponsor the water bubbler or the water station or something over here. I'm never thinking about that, dude, when I'm watching it on TV.
It's insane. Like we literally start building. So, and the best way I've ever heard it is for 6 months, we work at a golf course for 6 months. Cause our headquarters is at TPC Southwind.
Okay.
For 6 months, we work at a golf course. For 5 of those other months, we are building a city. We literally are building and to watch these structures be built. It's engineering at its best, and like, I mean, we have this gentleman named Brendan Lewis, and a young guy. I mean, I think he's 24, 25, 26. He's in that range. I mean, like, just unbelievable how smart this kid is. I mean, like, and I shouldn't call him kid, but I mean, to me, he is, because I'm.
You're old enough now. I was gonna say you're old enough now.
Yeah. And so, but to watch him, put the designs in place, put the structures together, the layouts together, and they have to be to a T. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, like if somebody from the PGA Tour shows up, 2 weeks before the tournament, and says, hey, this is out of line, this is cutting off a line. I mean, like, you have to be so specific of where these things lay out, how the layout goes. The build outs are amazing. And I mean, these structures are huge. I mean, you got to think these hospitality tents are holding hundreds and hundreds of people. I mean, it's insane how really the work that goes into it to actually build these things out. Yeah. I just can't even imagine to be able to start to tell you the work.
Communication must be insane for you all.
Yeah. But the moving parts, I mean, you got to think, we only have a team of about 8 to 9 in Memphis that are there every day.
Yeah.
And we bring in all these other companies that kind of help out moving parts.
That's what I'm talking about.
We go from a staff of 8 to a staff of hundreds. And then not to mention, once we get into the tournament, one of the really big things I want to focus on is that the FedEx St Jude Championship. So if you go work at another tournament, and you are a volunteer, you have to actually pay for a ticket.
Yeah. You
actually have to pay as a patron, but yet you get a little bit better access because you're a volunteer. Here, all of our volunteers are paid for.
Okay.
It is corporate sponsored. I mean, like we have a lot of stuff with Blue Cross Blue Shield, a lot of stuff with FedEx. I mean, but they all kind of evolve together to kind of come in, and they take care of a lot of what goes on with our volunteers. We have 1,600 volunteers that come out from all over the country and Memphis to actually help out with this.
Wow.
And the beautiful thing is, all those volunteers, they're able to work for St. Jude hours. And so all those hours they work, that raises money for St. Jude.
Oh, that's cool.
Really cool thing. But I mean, you got to think, we have one young lady, Annie Ferrantino, that runs 1,600 volunteers. I mean, she does this year round. And like, a lot of people don't realize this, but she is working with their leadership groups. She's built teams of like different divisions. I mean, it is such an integral thing to make sure these moving parts are taken care of, to make sure all these people are,
and that's just one aspect.
Yeah, but each hole has a sponsor. Each hole has a leader. Each area has a different.
And then there's a representative for that sponsor.
Yeah,
the sponsor is going to want to make sure they're represented well right there.
Absolutely. I mean, they all got like specific polos. Nike takes care of. I mean, it's so many different moving pieces to get one of these tournaments together. And people come out for a couple of days and they think, oh, this stuff just popped. It didn't. It takes months to build this.
Do you all have like a representative from the PGA making sure everything's on brand and in synonymity with that as well? Like,
yeah. So Joe Tolmick's our executive director. So Joe Tolmick, I actually work for him in Memphis. So he's our guy in Memphis.
He'll communicate at the higher scale.
Yeah.
And then
he is the end all be all as far as like anything that happens with that tournament. And so for the most part, I mean, I've seen this guy, there was a little bit of weather moving in, and there was a storm that was hundreds of miles away. He's in there with our weather guy, like literally forecasting weather with our weather guy to see where it's going to go to determine if he's got to make a call. I mean, just that, it's not one of those things where some, old guy walks out with a horn and blows a horn and says, everybody get off the
get under the tent. Yeah.
This is the process, and I mean, he's in constant contact with headquarters, and we're bringing a lot of people in from headquarters. I mean, we actually bring in, I'd probably say a staff of, maybe 80 to 100 people from headquarters that actually have, different stations around the course where we set them up in trailers and all this. It's an absolute operation like none other. I've never seen anything like it.
Imagine if you never had to go look at a project again to know exactly what it's going to take to complete this thing. And you can also know whether or not a client is actually going to buy from you or not. Wouldn't that be awesome? You can do that. AI can do that. And there's a company that's utilizing that in order to make that possible. And that's FormView. So FormView has the homeowners take a video. This video gets sent into the software. And based on that video, FormView provides contractors with details of the work required. So a scope summary. And the AI also generates an analysis of the project requirement. And it gives you the buyer intent score. So this helps gauge the likelihood that a homeowner or project manager is going to move forward with the project. Then you don't have to make these trips out. If you have 10 quotes each day, you don't have to actually go to them. You can just go to FormView and see the video, interact with the AI, and then decide whether or not you're going to pursue this. Send them over an intelligent scope of work on your quote. And it really helps save you time overall. So go to formvue.com and check out FormView and see what they're doing over there.
When you have NASCAR, the track's there. The track's never moving.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
The track's going to be there. You know what I mean? And so I've worked in NASCAR, for years, and you literally just set it up around the shell of a NASCAR. The big thing is that here, I mean, we're literally having to build the shell. Like, I mean, it is nuts.
Every time, and then take it down, right? And then build it back, and then it changes, I imagine, every year. Right.
Well, yeah, but also you got to think of the logistics behind it too. So then we bring in our logistics crews because that whole structure and that whole base has to go to another tournament somewhere. So it's always traveling and moving, and it is absolutely.
And the earth's different at every spot, right?
Like, absolutely. The layout's different. The earth is different. The blueprints are different. I mean, the CAD programs. I mean, all this stuff that they have to build, all the work that goes into it. It's months and months of data mining and making sure you have the right thing, making sure you have the right budgets, doing, and then you bring all these other corporate sponsors and companies in that are helping you put this thing on. It is absolutely just insane to watch one of these events go on. And then it goes for a week. And then after a week, we start the teardown phase. And the teardown phase is just as integral as the build-up phase. Yeah. And so because you don't want to break any of these parts.
And they got to go where they can be found. They all got to be
absolutely. And so it's a really unique experience, a really unique sports that people never even realize, because you got to think the Century out in Maui. I mean, you're building these structures on volcanic rock, like in the middle of these golf courses. I mean, just a really cool setting, and it's just it's an absolute. It's inspiring to watch the type of people that actually do this, because they are so intelligent and they do what they do. They do it very well. And it's almost turnkey. It's almost fun when you talk to the people that's been in it for a while, and it's almost turnkey for them and just how easy it goes. But you watch how much work goes into it, and it's like, that is difficult. All I got to do is sell this stuff. It's outstanding. Easy job.
I was about to say, I think I'm going to stick to the blacktop and stuff, man. I don't want to go.
But I mean, that's one thing I learned about the PGA Tour that I never even thought of. I mean, like, these golf courses, I mean, you got to think, you have members at these golf courses. I mean, these members have to sacrifice months for these golf courses to be built, and I mean, you're out there playing golf and you're paying a lot of money to be out on the golf course to play golf. And the next thing you know, you've got some backhoe and you got somebody hammering over here. You got somebody with a jackhammer over here. And I mean, it's the sounds of construction going on all over the place.
While you're trying to, drive in with a 7-iron, you drop it on the green, you got something.
But at the same token, they realize that they get to play at TPC Southwind, which is it's the location of the first round of the FedEx Cup. And so, but I tell you what, Marvin, I'm not that great of a golfer. I'm not even that good of a golfer. Let's just be honest.
Same.
I got a chance to play like the golf course as is. And I played it from the tips too, like where the pros play it.
Yeah.
I'm still adding up my score, man. It is watch these guys go out and shoot the the numbers that they do is outstanding. And not to mention, my favorite thing is somebody that really doesn't know golf or this is like their first tournament. The one thing I've learned to do is we've got a couple areas that that are elevated above like tee boxes.
Yeah.
And you go watch like Scotty Scheffler tee off and you hear the sonic boom that his driver head makes when it hits that ball and he drives it 300 plus yards. I mean, it's a sound like no other. It's just like being in a NASCAR race and being right next to a cup car and hearing the crank, because like if you're up in the stands, you can hear a crank, but when you're standing next to it and you can
in your heart, as I say, you feel it in your heart.
I mean, these golfers, when they put their swing and it's perfect and it's a thing of beauty and you can feel it when it hits the ball. It's just an amazing part that nobody ever thinks about, and even if you're not a golf fan, you give respect to the sport,
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads me into one of the last questions here while I got you. What's been the best part so far? Like you're almost a year in, 9 months in, a little bit over 9 months in probably was we were doing the math. What's been the best part? Like what's been like the best memory? Maybe there's two things there. Maybe there's like what's been the best part for you? And then what's been the one single best memory?
They kind of co-align, the best part, best memory, the best part's my team. No question.
Really?
I mean, I've had some really good camaraderie with teams I've worked with in the past. I mean, I stay in touch with a lot of people that I've worked with. Casey and I, the president of the Dubuque Fighting Saints, we text and talk all the time. Still talk to a lot of people from the NBA and NHL. But the team that I have here in Memphis, I have never felt more comfortable with the team than I do right now. This team. And I don't know if it's because I'm the old guy, and I mean, I'm the oldest in the office and all that kind of stuff, or one of the oldest in the office, but these people care about each other and they care about the product that they put out,
Okay.
and it's all hands on deck. We all realize that if one of us falls short, we all fall short, so they all take it upon their shoulders to make sure they do their part, do it well. And it was one of those things like during the tournament, like everybody got there at the same time. Nobody left until everybody was done.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those things, it's like, even though that's not in my job description, like it doesn't matter. That phrase doesn't exist in this office, which is one thing that I've really appreciated for the staff that I work with now compared to, other times before. Because you hear that a lot of times, like, hey, that's not my job. I don't do that. That's not what happens. Every single one of the people that I work with would bend over backwards to make sure that other person could accomplish their goal, which you just
there's an understanding about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We all got to make this thing click.
Yeah. And I tell you, my best memory, so far has been, the month leading up to the tournament, we don't leave the course. I mean, like I made a joke with Joe, our executive director, that to be honest with you, I mean, we just need cots in our office. I mean, we're there from sun up to sundown. And, I know there's some times that people have stayed in some of like their trailers and stuff like that, which is really cool. Like some of their working trailers out in the back, back 40 and stuff. But, for the most part, that as soon as the final putt drops, we do the trophy presentation, we do like all the pictures and we have all the sponsors out there and we get all the PGA execs out and they do that. But once everybody leaves, and we're sitting on the 18th green and it's just the team, it's the team that really put that thing on. And everybody gets a chance to just, crack open a beer, have a moment.
Shoulders relax a little bit.
Absolutely. And it's just that moment there where you kind of sit back and you go, holy smokes, we just pulled this off and it was flawless. It was great. I mean, it just, and it may have been my first tournament, it may be beginner's luck with the tournament that I had, and it was just a perfect scenario. But I think that was my favorite moment so far. It's just, you're sitting there with your team, you're all kind of relaxed for the first time. You've been going 90 miles an hour for 4 to 5 weeks straight. And then you just, you have this euphoria about you of like, and it's a beautiful setting. It's, the sun setting, it's on 18th green. You're kind of sitting at one of the hospitality venues and you're just all looking at each other, just kind of cheersing each other, saying, hey, congratulations. And it's like, you take a deep breath and on Monday morning, you're getting ready for next year, and it's just like, it's just one of those things like that moment was probably my best moment, kind of working here. It's just that I don't think I've ever been more proud of a product that I've put out there than once I ended this tournament.
Be cool.
I think we were really proud of the work that we had done and the level of service that we had provided, the level of hospitality, the attention to detail. I think those kind of things really made it just a special moment in my career, to be here.
That's cool. Man, I'm happy to hear that, man. I know I'm always cheering for you over here because you kind of get this thing where you get to know somebody, you know what they're going through and what it's taken for them to pull stuff off, and then you find kind of camaraderie in that when they understand what's taken for you to pull everything off, and
Yeah.
you get to see them. It kind of makes you, I don't know, you just telling that story makes me proud because it's like, dang, dude, I understand like what that change up and what that is. So what's next, man? Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna run this back. We're gonna do it again. I mean,
We're gonna run this back. I mean,
when's the tournament? When is the tournament?
So August 7th through the 10th this year. So it's the first round of the FedEx Cup, so first week of August here in Memphis. And yeah, we're gonna run it back for a couple of years, man. I mean, like I'm pretty excited about where I'm at. Love this place. And the good thing is my kids, 9 and 11, they're 10 and 8 when I move them here. They're getting accustomed to middle school. They're playing baseball and they're playing basketball and football in a city. They got a bunch of friends in Dubuque. They kind of got a good chip on their shoulder because they're enjoying what they do. And then you say, hey, we're moving to a new state. We're moving to Tennessee. And I tell you, one of the big things is both of them have come to me together and separate and kind of looked at me and said, hey, this was a great move. We love Tennessee. We love where we're at. We love our friends here. We love what we're building here. And so that's kind of special and near and dear to my heart because when you move kids from Dallas, Texas to Iowa, and then you move them to Iowa to Tennessee, there's a lot of opportunity for things to go bad. And, honestly, I'm kind of glad I do this for my kids because I'm giving them that lesson in life that you're going to have to put yourself out there to
get uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable.
You're going to have to. You're going to have to walk into a classroom with a bunch of kids you've never met and introduce yourself. You're going to have to walk into a baseball team and, this team's been together for 4 or 5 years and you're the new guy and you're going to have to earn your way. You're going to have to earn your keep. And I mean, I think that's a life lesson that they're learning. And that's one of the best things about this. But no, I mean, as of right now, family loves Tennessee. PGA Tour is treating me right. You love Memphis. Memphis will love you back. I mean, I'm loving this city. And so, I mean, I just really think, and like I said, the staff that I work with, Nikki Payne of the world, I mean, she's our operations person that runs everything. I mean, if you were to ever sit down with this young lady and just literally talk to her about, everything that's going on, in her world and still see the level of production that she's putting out and how good she is at her job, that's just the kind of people that I'm working with. And so, when you surround yourself with good people, you honestly, you see good
everything.
Absolutely. And like my sales staff, I'd be honestly just, remiss not to be able to say them, but like, I mean, Madison Youngblood, I mean, she's outstanding. She came from HQ. She now works with us. Jason Cockerham came over from the Memphis Grizzlies. We got him and he's doing well as my sales director. Dre O'Connor, we just got her from the Memphis Grizzlies. Those three, I mean, to watch what those three can produce just as a team of three, it's outstanding. And to be a sales director that kind of manages them and to kind of put them in a situation to be successful, they make my job easy, man. So it's just it's a good world we live in right now, man. And we're gonna enjoy it every moment. And then hopefully this thing just keeps carrying on and keeps hammering away.
Well, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to get an update and see you do your thing. I imagine the best way to keep up with Robert and what all he's got going on is on LinkedIn for the most part.
Yeah.
That's where I find him anyways. And if I'm not texting him or figuring that out. But, man, we really appreciate you being on here and kind of sharing what's going on in your world and helping us understand it.
No, man, anytime. I love it, man. And I can't wait to see you when you're down in Nashville. You got to get you over to Memphis this August. Then, any of you guys, man, if you ever need anything from me, let me know. But if you've never been to Memphis for a PGA Tour event, FedEx St Jude Championship, not only do we do a lot of good things for this city, not only do we put on a heck of a show, but every dollar you spend, money goes back to St. Jude. So it's just an outstanding hospitality opportunity with a great cause. So
I can't wait to get over there. Yeah, man, I can't wait to get over there. I got a good buddy, Evan, who's a golf nut, and he'll flip over backwards. We got to bring him on. And he's a Tennessee heart through and through. Lover. He's Rocky Top. And I think he's getting married soon. They're walking out to Rocky Top. That's gonna be their wedding song, I guess. So apparently that's a thing down there. But I'm cool with it. I'm excited.
It's a real thing, man.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Well, for myself here in the podcast studio, for Robert down Memphis area, as always, we appreciate you joining us, and don't forget to stay in the mix. Peace.
Yeah. Love you.
Even before I had a discount code partnership with Brunt Workwear, which you can find in the description of this podcast, I was wearing their boots when patching or paving and their shirts and hats when I was out on date night with Nikki. I'm actually wearing one right now. Seriously, though, half my closet is Brunt Workwear at this point. I have 3 sets of boots, 2 Marins, and a pair of the Omans, as well as a green Chevlin hoodie that I love. It's got a snake on it. It actually has a pocket where it keeps my cell phone there in the front. I love that about it. And it took the place of my winter jacket last season. To check out their full line, go to bruntworkwear.com and use code MJoles10 to save $10 off your first order of $60 or more.